Hey guys, it's Randy Ritchie here with Arab Wrestlers You Should Know, sponsored by Premier Pro Wrestling. This is part 2 about Milad Akbar. Now let me just say, when I met the guy, as I said yesterday, he was 18 years old. In the Chicagoland area, there's a lot of crap wrestling. And the bottom line to it is people don't know any better when they hook up with someone for training or to work on their, I guess you could call them shows. So he came from a place where let's throw a hijab on him or a turban on him and it'll make a lot of heat in the local American Legion Hall with the 9-foot ceiling, you know. And when I saw him, I saw so much more than that. I mean, look at the body, for example, and they have that kind of body development as an 18-year-old when a man is not fully grown until he's 23, just makes him stand out even more because he got that through hard work. Yes, I'm sure there were some genetics involved, but not to look like that. The other thing was, I was forward thinking at the time and thinking about well-roundedness in him eventually getting hired by NXT. And what I did was, on the tapings that I ran, or the shows that I ran, was said, you know, you got one hell of a story. We're going to make you a baby face, you know. Now, you know, and he learned that, but it's well-roundedness to learn how to work both. He already had a believability factor in the ring that is just unsurpassed, you know. He means business when he gets in that ring, and there's absolutely no doubt in anyone's mind that he means business. You know, he makes you believe. And just off the top of my head, one of his greatest moves is I've never seen anybody drop a headbutt from the top rope as effortlessly and believably and compellingly as Milad Akbar. So, as he started to gear up for his NXT Trout, again, a 19-year-old kid, what ended up happening was when he needed me most, which was that last week prior to the tryout, he went and shut me out because of that Arab masculinity that they're, you know, embedded in them. They don't like to ask for help. They don't like to need help. They think they have to have it all figured out, you know, and I get it because I'm Italian primarily, and it's the same way in that culture. But the truth be known, at the end of the day, that's probably when he needed me most, because we got all the physical down, we got some of the psychological down, but what he needed was more help with the politics. You know what I'm saying? So, poor Milad gets there for the tryout at 19, and he couldn't check into his room because of his age. He had to be 21, you know. He impressed him with his physical attributes. He impressed him with what was then drills, which were just insane. That was no problem for him. That's something that he did work on, and he always had a phenomenal cardiovascular to go with that build and the wrestling skill. But he did ramp it up quite a bit, training a couple of days a week, you know, at the facility for Premier Pro Wrestling. And, you know, because of that, he's like that type of guy. He 100% wasn't enough. So he had to be prepared in his mind, and he was probably able to do more than what they had him do as far as the drills went, you know, which gives you the mindset. On the second day, he was approached, and they popped, you know, for what they saw the first day. And then they said, wait a minute, you can't even rent a car yet. You know, so they left it with that, you know. Now, he did well, and he did well as far as the promos went. And I know Dusty was there, as a matter of fact, because the third day then of NXT Trout was mostly promos, and Dusty would listen to you and critique you. And, you know, Milad was lucky to have been in that position. Where it stands today, the one thing that I could not do, and it wasn't just with Milad, it was somebody else, I want to say Ronnie Metro, who also went down there loaded for bear, prepared in every way. They got in their minds it's now or never type of thinking, and that is not how it works with World Wrestling Entertainment unless you really, really, really stand out with physical stature. The bottom line is they spend $92,000 that they invest in 1 year in one guy. They're not going to throw around developmental contracts for just anybody, but it's a process. And you can read up, for example, somebody that comes off the top of my head is Keith Lee. He had 3 tryouts before he got signed, and he was ready to give up on wrestling after 12 years before he got the call from WWE. And that's what I couldn't get out of Milad's mind. This is part of the journey, part of the process. This is where they see and know who you are. They told you, and the last thing they told him was, you're 19 years old. We know who you are. Go back to Randy and become a technical standout. Now, he was already special, like I says, but in the wrestling industry, you are always learning. You're either learning or you're dying, or you're on these indies imitating half-speed lucha spots that you see on Instagram or whatever else you saw, some watered-down version of what they try to memorize from SmackDown or Raw, And, that's one thing that I can say about Milad is when he came back, he's like, how do you know this guy, Kenyon Kamen? And I'm like, well, only through email. He's like, geez, the guy has a lot of respect for you, He kept putting you over. He kept telling me I was in good hands, Well, that's my testament, is because the people that work at World Wrestling Entertainment to this day that make those decisions, that have the power and the juice, know me. And they know me from inside the ring, which is the most important part, Now, Milad never got that out of his head. I don't think he fully recovered, not mentally or emotionally, not being signed at 19. He's shown up sporadically from time to time since, but the bottom line to it is I wish he believed in himself like I believe in him and was able to just focus again on this and attack it, because he could be working there. For Christ's sake, look at the guy. Look at the guy's in-ring. There's so much to work with. He still has a lot to learn. But compared to what's out there, he's heads above everybody else. And when you look at a global company, Milad Akbar speaks proper Arabic and Farsi. So he's multi-talented and marketable to so many different markets where he will draw money. I mean, for God's sake, look at the YouTube traffic on the Premier Pro Wrestling channel, and you can see how many views Milad Akbar's stuff gets. And in part, why I am adding Milad Akbar to this Arab Wrestlers You Should Know. Number one, of course, is so you should know him. It's a compelling story, what this guy's been through. But number two, maybe this will pull his talented ass out of the woodwork. All right, guys, please note, this is being brought to you without YouTube commercials, so be cool, like and subscribe. Again, Randy Ritchie on behalf of Premier Pro Wrestling, Arab Wrestlers You Should Know.